How do you do, fellow kids? I have another Masters of the Universe Origins action figure to open. This time I have the Lords of Power Beastman. This harkens back to the prototype Beastman. It's a more ape-like head than the Beastman that they ended up going with, or they ended up going, releasing in retail. This head sculpt is actually from a gorilla from the Big Jim line. There are a lot of kind of holdovers, concepts, and things that were brought over by a Mattel line of kind of like the G.I. Joe, the 12-inch G.I. Joe competitor from Mattel was called Big Jim, and they had they had kind of like adventure stuff, and they had a gorilla, and so they used the gorilla head sculpt for their Beastman. I don't know why they ended up changing it. This looks pretty good. I also think the Beastman it looks a little more feline, kind of a cross between ape and feline. I think that one looks good as well. This comes with some really cool accessories, some like molded claw gauntlets and everything like that. So very cool. And this is the second Lords of Power. Lords of Power being the kind of the original concept for Masters of the Universe. They changed it to Masters of the Universe because it sounded less religious. So we'll go ahead and take a good look at the packaging. Here we go. Beastman, Savage Henchman. He's got some more accessories. I believe he's got a chest plate in there, and this is the second Lords of Power that they've released. They had a convention exclusive Lords of Power 5-pack, I think, and then they've released the Merman and the Beastman from that set. I'm not sure if we're gonna get the Man-at-Arms. The Man-at-Arms from that set is I think it's more or less the same Man-at-Arms with a different head sculpt. And they are releasing that head sculpt with the Eternian Guard, which I have on pre-order. Some really cool artwork here. It says Beastman's primal rage is a feral force that only Eternia's mightiest can hope to contain. So here we got Beastman, the cross cell. We've got a new He-Man. They've gone back to the original head sculpt. Skeletor, same thing. Back to kind of the vintage head sculpt. Eternian Goddess, which is the green goddess version of Teela, Webster, and Stinkor. We got a little bit of original sculpting for Beastman, and Webster is new. Stinkor includes the chest armor, which actually hasn't been released, but that was originally, I think, Mechaneck. And then obviously the Eternian Goddess is 1-for-1 just repaint of Teela. So they're making good use of their parts in the Origins line. I think I've heard rumors, or actually, let's see, they had PowerCon recently, and they had some rumors about the next wave, which includes Jitsu. I'm trying to remember what else. Oh, Buzz Off. Some pretty exciting stuff there. Now, I have him out of the package, and I've connected his armor up. You can see he's got some really great great armor. Love those spikes. They're so much more pronounced than the regular version of Beastman. He's got a great look. I think it looks he looks pretty cool. In contrast to Merman, where I think the LOP Merman, the head sculpt is superior to the retail release of Merman, I don't necessarily think that this one is superior. He does have some cool features. I mentioned the armor. He doesn't come with a weapon. However, his gauntlets do have sort of like a weapon, weapon included. Those are sculpted on. They aren't removable. This waist piece is removable. It's got a little bit of a band here, and it's pretty cool because it's multicolored. It does look really good, and it pops. It's got some paint applications with the blue on the yellow background. He does have a pretty cool face sculpt, although I am partial to the original retail release. Beastman is an action figure that I had growing up, and I think he looks pretty cool. I do like his like spiked collar. I think it looks cool. I mean, I like it. I think this one looks better. He's got that kind of like sloppy, insignia there with the blue, kind of just sprayed on there. I think that was mostly because of limitations that they had in the 80s. And then, obviously like a prototype probably had, was hand painted and that type of thing. And I don't necessarily think that this was done because of limitations in 2020. I think it was done because they wanted to recreate the look of the 1980s. This head sculpt is, I don't know, it's very, very like, unearthly beast looking. It looks, for fans of Star Trek, it looks very Klingon to me. He's got a beard. He's got the head, the forehead ridges. So he looks like he looks like Worf. Although, let's see, I think this came out in 1982, and the Next Generation came out in 1988. I don't know when that version of Klingons were kind of introduced. In the original series, the Klingons were a little more subtle. They had almost more like this, where their forehead ridges were very subtle. So yeah, just taking a look at this, I think he's really cool. I'm glad they went with a different color. In fact, it's funny that his like skin color is very similar to the armor color on Beastman. The regular Beastman, same body sculpt. They used the same body sculpt for both of these. Is very, very orange with like red armor, and then this is he's very red with kind of mustard colored armor. But really cool. I'm glad I picked this one up. So far, the Origins, they haven't really released anything that I don't like. So gosh, I don't know what else to say about this, but yeah, it's pretty cool having a second version of Beastman. I do enjoy these second versions. I know that Mattel is trying to get their money's worth out of these sculpts, and I don't blame them for doing that. I know that these action figures are mostly appealing to collectors, so they're not getting like the massive volume at retail that I'm sure they were trying to get. But they have the animated series, and they have some more action figure lines. I hope that does the trick to sort of subsidize their budget, and they can keep Origins going. I've picked up a couple of the Revelations action figures, but I'm not really going to collect those. I more or less I got Skelegod because I Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think they're going to do a Skelegod in Origins. They may eventually if the line goes long enough. And I got a Mossman because Mossman has not been released in Origins. I don't know if they're going to do a Mossman. If they do, they're probably not going to do a flocked Mossman, and I kind of like the cool, this cool version. And the difference in scale doesn't bother me because Mossman can grow and become a giant, basically. So, but I'm going to pass on the Revelations He-Man. I'm going to pass on the Revelations Faker, Skeletor, Evelyn, Tila, probably Man-at-Arms, although Man-at-Arms is one of my favorite characters, and but we'll see. And I don't think I'm gonna pick up the kitty animated versions either. Although I did see something that I thought was really cool. I'm trying to remember what it was. That I thought might be a little bit more compelling. But I do like the kids animated series. I think that's a lot of fun, and I think there's a lot of like head scratching about there was some negative reaction to Masters of the Universe Revelation, and not a lot of negative reaction to this Masters of the Universe that's for kids. And I think a lot of that has to do with a couple of different things. Second of all, first of all, I think they did a good job of let me back up. So first of all, I think when I have kids, I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, and when I watch the Masters of the Universe that they released on Netflix last week or a couple weeks ago, it looked like the type of thing that my kids watch. So that isn't shocking at all. I don't live in a vacuum. I know what kids' cartoons look like nowadays. It's not going to look like Filmation. And the changes to the characters I thought made sense. Again, very similar to what you would expect of a modern cartoon, a modern animated series. And I think one of the things that they did that made sense was that He-Man can share his power and transform the entire team. It's not just he him and Battle Cat, but it's the other characters as well. I think it's all good, but I think one of the biggest sticking points is that no one said like, oh, this is going to be like Filmation He-Man, whereas a comparison was made to Filmation He-Man with Revelation, and so I think that created a lot of false expectation. In hindsight, I completely understand what they meant, but I think it was a misstep, because one of the things about a lot of these shows is I think they want to skip to season 4. They want to skip a lot of material, and I think that was a mistake. I mean, obviously they weren't going to go for a long time, so let's not get a season 4 storyline where we're killing off He-Man in the first episode. So that's just my 2 cents. I think there was a lot to enjoy about Masters of the Universe Revelation, but I always think it's funny that these creators are like, oh, look at this nostalgic thing, and then when people don't like it, they lash out and they're like, oh, you're just a bunch of crybabies. It's like, well, which is it? Do you want us to, relive our childhood? And, you want us to just praise you, blindly, but, give us something to praise you about. So, like I said, there was a lot to enjoy about it, but at the end of the day, I could have done without it. I think a lot of the criticism is valid. That they basically gave that property to someone who doesn't care about it, doesn't have any sort of emotional connection. And I think that can be good, and I think that can be bad, because I think it can be good because the creators can be objective about it. But where it hurts the properties is when you have someone who wants to make it something that it never was, or they want to really change the dynamics so that they can sort of make it their own thing. And they it's like I'm going to approach it from my impression of what this property is about, not necessarily what it is about, because it's not something that creator liked in the first place. So but it is what it is, and that's what Hollywood keeps churning out, because they know that people like and identify with properties that they're already familiar with, rather than properties that they new properties and things like that. I think Hollywood wants to put their money behind things that they think is more of a sure thing than taking a risk.